Okay, so I'm going to talk about this first, and then we can get into how to create one of these. Pretty cool, right? So let's get it started off with this though. This is a custom bracket, and I'll throw the website description below so you can order one yourself if you're interested. And if you see what it does is you can mount your camera right here, and you can go from vertical to horizontal without having to change, alter, or adjust your tripod any. And I really love this thing, and it makes creating photo time lapses like this really easy, going from horizontal to vertical and switching between if that's something that you want to do. So let's get started with how to do one of these. We're going to open up Photoshop, and give me just a second and I will throw the screen up here as soon as I get it set up. So I'm going to edit in Photoshop Camera Raw. You can literally edit in whatever photo editing software you want to do, and that is totally fine. Alright, so first you just select all of your images, and then you select them all first, and then just drag them over into your photo editing software, and that's going to take a minute to load. And then I can continue talking about this. So this will just mount at the bottom of your tripod, and it's got three 3/4 20 screw mounts at the bottom. It's got one at the top with this brass pin, and then just to switch it from that, there's this one little push bar right there, and then you just throw it that way, and boom, all of a sudden you're now in vertical. So like I said, these things are not cheap, and they do make different mounts for different sizes, for different cameras, and different bracket options. It's something that I always carry in my camera bag because you never know when you might need it, especially today where vertical content is slightly more engaging and enticing to the viewers. So I'm gonna cut right here to where the images open up and load. So this might take a while. Or actually here, let me talk about how to take your images first. So you wanna start out, and if you look at this one again, I'll kind of pause it right here. As we're moving through it, and this one's only just a couple of seconds, and I believe that there were, and I'm gonna look it up right quick, 88 images total in this time lapse. So what you do is you start at one point and some distance away from whatever building you want to go to, and then slowly, and I'm talking about like baby steps, inch by inch, work your way to wherever you want to finish at. So you want to line your camera up, and if you want to pull up some kind of grid view, if you have that capability on your camera, or just make sure that you're always focusing on the same point. You need to be as precise as you can. So for me, I was focusing kind of in between the first and second floor, and I maintained that exact spot in one area of my camera, like I was going for the dead center. So I made that spot the dead center of my camera, and I slowly kept moving towards it while keeping that in, and it's going to become larger and or smaller in your frame depending on how you're shooting this. So just keep moving forward very slowly, like I said, baby steps, and just take a photo. So for me, it was literal shuffle, photo, shuffle, photo, shuffle, photo, until I took, like I said, 88. And then now let's kind of cut over into Premiere, or not into Premiere, we're going to go to Premiere later. If you guys are using a different video editing software, same kind of technique will apply. But let's cut to me editing the photos first. Okay, so now let's get in here and start editing these photos. One thing that I did for the first one that you just watched is I locked off my focus. Kind of regret that, but as you can tell, it didn't really affect the overall time lapse. This one, I left the autofocus on, and I let it just kind of hit on every single photo. I made sure to focus before I took the shot. So we're gonna see how this one turns out compared to that, and if you want to change or do anything differently, that is totally up to you guys. So for me, I was focusing again just on this little point right here at the top of that middle window, and you can edit all of these the exact same, but first you're just gonna edit the individual one first. You usually like to throw in some more contrast, and we'll bring those highlights down. It was kind of a bright day. Play around with your shadows. I'm gonna actually increase those. Normally I would decrease those, but I wanna see that front of the building. Let's take these whites down just a bit and Same thing on the black. I think I'm gonna drop my highlights even more. I'm gonna add some texture and some clarity and dehaze, a little too much. And then we're gonna throw in some vibrance. And then there is a little bit of I'm going to throw in some of the optic corrections. Let's go about, you can throw in curve adjustments too if you want to, or edit these however you want. Get them looking very nice. One thing that I did originally and that I was kind of hoping would work out better is I threw my camera on a tripod and then tried to move this tripod ever so slowly, taking these photos. You can do that. It is more effort and more difficult than I wanted it to be. What I ended up doing was just pulling two legs up and basically use it as a monopod. And that would be my recommendation for if you want to do this time lapse particularly, is throw it on a monopod and go at it that way. And you'll notice as we go through all these, some of them are kind of unlevel just due to the ground, how you were maybe slouching. So if you also have the grid view and or maybe a level, throw that on to where you can make sure they're all level. But there's a trick in Premiere Pro that is going to help a lot, because I was going to individually edit all of these, level them off, crop them in to where they were all the exact same, but I figured out how to do that in Premiere Pro just a little bit easier. So now I am kind of happy with this. It is a little dark around the edges, and I don't know if I want to try to change that around too much. But another thing too is, you notice there's people that will pop up inside your photos and everything like that. That is totally okay. What you can do is, if you want to take them out, and that's another reason to shoot photo rather than video, and I don't know if it's how I was going to do it here, especially with the busy background, but just like boom, remove them. Not the best job ever. Of course, I don't really want to remove him, but doing it with a photo rather than a video, it is a lot easier to mask out or eliminate certain things. So now that we are kind of, hey, this looks nice and dandy, we're going to copy edit settings, and we are going to go through, and I shot all of these at the exact same. I believe I took this one twice. Going to hit shift on the end, and then just going to hit control V, and that will paste the settings to every single image. And we can check here and look. Looks okay to me. Now this is also good too for if you're doing some that are changing from some kind of daylight or some kind of lighting scenario. So if you wanted to do more of like a evening to night one while continuing that rotation, you most certainly can, and adjust those individually as they come up, instead of in a video where you're kind of just wanting to probably lock off your exposure, that way it doesn't get too bright or too dark at a certain point, and try to edit in between those transitions. So like I said, I started at one end. There's a little parking lot right here. Started at one end and kind of worked my way to the other, and you can see all of those as I'm scrolling through. Like I said, just step by step and just keep going. And you'll see right here is this little car. I would say take a photo every like 5 to 6 seconds and go from there. So you'll see some things, but they'll be like in and out of frame in a second or two. And I work myself all the way around to, it's actually a little bit more aggressive on this one, I think, than on the last one. So on the last one it was 80. Work myself all the way to there. So, and I don't know if I want to quite use this one. I mean, it's not a bad one. I might actually include it because it does have the street signs right there. And then I took a little breather shot in between, put my hand there to know that it was the start of another one. And I believe I just took the 2. So, and this is a good example right here, where there's people in there, but it was only for a couple frames, and this one's like a little too aggressive for me to try to edit them out. What you could do is also wait, because like I said, they were out within basically the 15 seconds, so I could have potentially waited for them to leave, but I didn't think that it was gonna affect or take away much of anything. So we're just gonna leave those in there, but we're gonna save these now. So click on that one, save these however you want to in Adobe, Photoshop, it is relatively easy for me to just select all the images that I want saved for a specific one, hit Control S, and it's gonna pop up the save option menu. And I'm gonna hit save these in a new location. Okay, so this is my edited photos from the same one. I did 3 rounds of the last one you just watched, as testing those out. I'm gonna name this one as Group 4, just for simplicity's sake. And we're gonna save those in there, and then this is gonna be, oopsie daisy, church. If I can spell it right, that'd be great. Church time lapse, and then we're gonna hit save. And from here you can also change like the quality, the resolution. I usually keep those at 12 and 300 resolution. Then you'll hit save, and there are 67 for this one, so not even as many as the last one we just saw, and that's gonna be really important later on whenever we go to create that video time lapse, and we'll get to that here in a bit. But I'm gonna follow the same steps, on these second batch right here, and I'm gonna save all of those, and then we can open them up in Premiere, which we will get to here in a second. So I'm gonna cut right here, and we're gonna hop into Premiere. So see you in a bit. Okay, so that took about 14 or so minutes for all the footage to, or all the photos to save. So now we're gonna open up Premiere, and we are going to save this in a new location. This is going to be downtown. I have a system for naming all of my Adobe files and everything. If you're ever curious about how I find something, or how I file something so I can find it easier, just let me know. And I have been calling this a church time lapse, but I have a feeling like it's probably more of a hyper lapse. The reason I said that is because I was going to link Peter McKinnon's video, and he kind of showed this to me, and it's been, I think, like 2 or 3 years since I saw that he posted it. So I'm going to link that video down below, and it's a very simple video, and he does a really good job of explaining a lot of things that go into the mechanics of the photography side of how to do this. So if you're interested in that video, like I said, I'll link it below, and you guys feel free to go watch that and subscribe to his channel. Okay, so you're gonna create a new project and a new timeline in Premiere. And then you can either import, or you can just drag and drop your photos. I drag and drop Peter McKinnon imports, and I saw that just now, and it was a lot easier. Anyways, so yeah, this could be called a hyperlapse, since I guess there is movement instead of a time lapse, which just has the images moving through together. Okay, so, and if you drag and drop them, oftentimes they're going to be out of sequence, so that just takes literally just 1 second. Do not ask me why it does this. I have yet to figure that out myself. So you're just going to put them back into sequence. After watching Peter McKinnon's video, I think that would be a lot easier, but hey, do what you know. Okay, so you go to the speed duration, and you're going to change this to 0:1. You're going to hit OK, and then you're going to hit sequence close gap. And what that does is it takes all of them down to just that 1 second, and it closes them all in together. Also for this, I wanted to include some, where'd I put it? Some music. I believe it's in, oh, where'd the music go? Did I save it in the folder? I did. Okay, I want to just throw like 2 seconds of a song on there just to have something going. Okay, I like that little piano hit right there, so we're gonna take that down. And I found this track on Soundstripe. So if you are curious about this music, or where I find the music in all of my videos, go to soundstripe.com. Link is below. Not sponsored, not affiliated. Just really have liked their music selection. I've been using it, like I said, for years. So okay, and I want that to kind of hit, since as you see now I took some 60 images and this is like 2 seconds. So these are very short deals, so you need several hundred images, I would say. Okay, I liked that little hit. And I'm going to do a audio transition, do constant power, and see where that goes. I really want that to hit twice. So okay, I like that one a lot better. Okay, so now we're going to throw this over here. We're going to delete that rubbish. Perfect. Okay, so now that that's done, we're going to render this really quick. And I was having some problems with Adobe Premiere Pro yesterday, so if this doesn't render all the way through, kind of jump into how I worked around that yesterday, but it looks like it's going to render. And this takes usually a few minutes. If you were to do, like I said, one of 100 or so images, which I would recommend if you're wanting to really get something, but for these just kind of like short, like poppy little videos, really it's almost just like a photo with motion. So if you're gonna do this, probably 80 to 60 would be kind of in that sweet little range that I would recommend you try to get. And this is something too that you guys, you know, could approach a business like, hey, you know, I have done this, would you like a copy of it? Maybe make a little bit of money on the weekends and kind of go from there. So let's take a short little break, more so for me, while that's taking that 2 minutes, so I don't have to like sit here and stare at the camera and talk to you guys. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so that is now done. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna select everything. Oopsie daisy. And we're going to hit nest. You can name that whatever you want to. I'm just gonna leave it as nest sequence 1. We're gonna come over to effects. We're gonna search for warp stabilizer and we're gonna hit add. It's gonna come in at 50. I like it around 9. Now, the reason we're gonna have to add a warp stabilizer is because I did shoot this on my makeshift monopod from a tripod. If you were to shoot this on a tripod and have this kind of locked off and make sure that you were in the same spot every single time, and that your camera was level, then you wouldn't necessarily need to add a warp stabilizer. But if you're shooting this on a monopod and you're walking around, and like I said, you have that little back and forth movement where you're kind of like slouching to one side, that's whenever you want to come in and add the warp stabilizer. Now, yesterday the problem I had with Premiere Pro is after I threw on the warp stabilizer, it wasn't wanting to render. So you have to be careful with that. So make sure that's like the last thing that you do. You're happy with how it looks, you're happy with the audio and everything, and then you're just going to export it and it should come out just fine. I like it somewhere between 9 and 14%. Like I said, I tried to keep it pretty level and pretty steady as far as I could. Now, the reason I brought this up earlier, and I totally forgot to mention it, is if you see this hyperlapse time lapse is shot horizontal. And if you notice while we were editing the photos, the other one is shot vertical. So I basically mounted this to the top of my tripod, monopod, whatever you want to call it, and took the first time lapse like this, and then I went back to the start of the parking lot, flipped that over, and then I took one going vertical as well too. So I'm gonna do the exact same setup and sequence for this one, and as soon as this one is done on the warp stabilizer, looks like it is, I'm not actually even going to render it because I feel like it's already going to mess up on me. So I'm just gonna save that just in case, and then we're just going to export. And this did take quite a bit to export yesterday, and I did go through media encoder. So we're gonna see if that, oh wait, hold on, on the wrong area. Export media, and there it is. Okay, so I'm gonna do H.264, export audio, export video. We're gonna put this right here for now, and I'm just gonna leave it as church time lapse. It'll have to be fine. And we're gonna hit Q. It's gonna prepare it for export. It's gonna open up Adobe Media Encoder. Soon, maybe not, maybe later. You could probably export directly through Premiere. Like I said, I just didn't want it to crash or anything like that, because after that latest update, it's been giving me problems. But the one I did at the beginning of this video, no problems whatsoever. It was able to render everything, warp stabilize it, and export it, no problems. Probably within like 5 to 10 minutes. So if you're doing this for a business and they're like, hey, you know, we really like that, we want just some social media content, can you create one of those for us? I probably spent maybe an hour total getting all the photos and everything, and then like 10 minutes in Photoshop and in Premiere finishing everything off. So I mean, you're talking about maybe 2 hours of work total, including traveling and talking and things like that. And you could, you know, potentially sell these $50, $200, something like that, just for these businesses, because they look really neat, and if you put a lot of time into them, you could make them a lot better. You could spend, you know, 2-3 hours out there getting 200 or 300 images, creating this really beautiful hyperlapse or time lapse, and, you know, start charging like $200-300 for those. I plan on going to downtown Oklahoma City and getting one of the Devon Tower building, so hopefully you'll see that in a future video here. But you're just gonna export that, and this one is actually going really quick. It looks like it's gonna finish in about a minute. So I'm gonna play that, and then I'm gonna end the video right there. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any questions over some of my other gears, trips, and tips and advice, whatever you want to call it, write me a comment down below, and I can't wait to talk with you guys more and see you in the future. I'm going to actually be shooting a commercial later today, and I intend to shoot some kind of B-roll and behind the scenes of that and kind of how everything came up. And like I said, if you're interested in ordering this, I'm going to put them both back to back, the vertical and the horizontal. If you're interested in ordering this, the link is below. If you're interested in seeing some other time-lapse, hyperlapse videos, link is below for those as well too. So until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye.